This is Commissioner Song attending remotely from Warren, Macomb County, Michigan.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Song. Next item is an invocation by Commissioner Farrington.
Chairman, if I may, before we move, Commissioner Romano would like the board to know he's having an emergency medical procedure. That's why he's not here today. So he's in our prayer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We bow our heads. Lord, it is with your strong shoulders that carry us across the abyss that is human failure. Lord, it is your wings that fly us to the opportunity of human possibilities. Lord, it is your light that resides within each one of us, shining bright on our thoughts, actions, and deeds. Lord, thank you for your strength, your wings, and your light to provide the wisdom and compassion to carry out the work to help our community. Amen.
Motion to adopt the agenda. Can I have a motion, please?
So move.
Support Kleinfeld.
The motion passes 12-0.
Thank you. Item 5 is approval of the minutes from dated May 27, 2021. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes? Moved by Sabatini.
Support Farrington.
Supported by Commissioner Farrington. Any additions or corrections to the minutes?
Chairman Brown, could you remember to use your microphone? Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Any additions or corrections to the minutes? Hearing none, please vote.
The motion passes 12-0.
Very good. Thank you. Item 6 is public participation. This is the first opportunity for public participation to anyone who wishes to speak for a maximum of 3 minutes on any item they wish on today's agenda. This is a second opportunity for public participation at the end of the agenda for those who can speak on any issue they wish. So with that, we're glad to have you, members of the audience here. Please step forward and state your name and where you're from, and you have 3 minutes.
Good to be here. My name is Rob Rodriguez Pellizzari. I'm from Livingston County, and I'm here to talk to you today about the constitutional sanctuary resolution that you all are considering passing. I want to commend you for allowing that to go through the subcommittee, and I don't feel like there was anything within that resolution that didn't also happen while you took an oath of office, right? Like many of us who have taken oaths of office, we know that we're here to uphold the Constitution. So it seems like it should be a simple thing, but I'm very happy that you put it on your agenda today, and I hope that we are able to we can have some healthy discussion about it and dispel some things that maybe people are worried about. For instance, just a simple thing. We hear the term gun violence all the time, and since the Constitution does involve guns, we're gonna go there because I think that's really where the hesitation might lie. Well, gun violence don't you have to have some kind of an issue that actually requires the term violence? So, just for instance, gun deaths in Michigan were in the low percentiles. In some cases, is under 0.5%. That doesn't dictate that there is violence going on there, that there is an epidemic going on there. If anything, we have cancer violence going on right now. And I think we need to stay focused on the facts as we debate whether or not we want to look into this constitutional resolution and to just vote off of just simply the facts. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Anyone, next person. Anyone else wish to speak? Again, you have 3 minutes.
Thank you. I'm Judith Cox. I'm from Oakland County, so thank you for allowing me to be here. I have my CPL, and I'm grateful to have that. And I have to adult children who carry their CPL, an attorney, and an engineer. I'm a psychotherapist, and what I'd like to share with you is out of 113 cases of death in Michigan, these are the top 10. Tuberculosis, cancer, tumors, blood deficiency, diabetes, nutritional deficiencies, Alzheimer's, heart disease, influenza, pneumonia, and kidney disease. And, from a psychotherapist's contribution, suicide in Michigan is ranked 105th and 106th in terms of the cause of death. And 105, at 105th, 113 different causes of death, firearms associated with suicide, came in at 105th. And at 107th, again, looking at the 113 different causes of death, firearms were associated with homicide. Unfortunately, we're not going to stop suicide if we stop having guns. And so I'd also like to add that medical malpractice causes more death than firearms. And so we want to make sure that we can keep the Constitution, the right to bear arms.
Thank you. Who's next?
Yana Iannucci, City of Roseville. I just wanted to commend the two individuals that were bold enough to come up here and remind everyone that it is not the firearms that are causing problems. It is people who want to harm us that are causing the problems. And all of us remember what happened in World War II. We know what happened, how the Bund came in and spread the word of fascism. That's the problem. You could beat evil, but you need to protect yourself because everybody has a fundamental human right to exist. And until they come at us in groups, we have a right to be moving around freely. There's not a problem. There's nobody running around shooting people randomly. It doesn't exist. We have firearms to defend ourselves with. When Checkpoint Charlie and the Berlin Wall came down, here came the socialists. The message here is not one that we're trying to spread hate. We want to be able to defend ourselves as well as our fellow human beings. Because there are evil people out there. We've seen it. Countries go to war because of evil people. And we're the good guys. Good guys need guns.
Good afternoon, I'm Dave Jay. I was first elected to the Macomb County Board of Commissioners in 1984, and then elected in the Michigan House and State Senate. For the last 29 years, I've lived in the same house in Washington Township, about a half mile from your chairman, Don Brown. I was a key advocate in expanding the right to carry a concealed pistol for the average law-abiding men and women, not just the politically powerful and economically rich. My family and I were park concessionaire operators in Bald Mountain State Park. The Second Amendment sanctuary would prevent the Macomb County employees from helping federal government gun control laws, such as gun confiscation during storms and riots, high-capacity magazine bans, assault weapon bans, ammo purchase limits, gun transportation limits, gun purchasing limits, federal purchasing fees, and all these other prohibitions like private party sales to each other. And these gun-grabbing laws are a violation of the rights guaranteed within the Second Amendment. The Constitution's 9th and 10th Amendment forbids Congress from commandeering the states, either by requiring the states to adopt a policy or compelling state officials to implement one. The U.S. Constitution establishes a dual sovereignty between the states and the federal government. That's how these liberal cities have adopted the sanctuary laws to prevent ICE from arresting law-breaking illegal aliens. Well, it's about time that we were able to take a page from that playbook and allow people to defend themselves, their family, and their businesses. This is very important not only for the issue of self-defense, but government tyranny. During the American War of Independence, patriots didn't yell, "The deer are coming, the deer are coming." They were warning people that the British were coming. Gun ownership provides security against government tyranny against Antifada, Black Lives Matter violent protests, riots, attacks, and home invasions. Hitler's gun control laws, which resulted in the confiscation of weapons not belonging to supporters of Nazis, rendered Jews and other disfavored groups like gypsies, homosexuals, Poles, and their potential allies defenseless and set the stage for the slaughter of the Holocaust. Mao Tse-tung said, quote, "Every communist must grasp the truth. Political power grows out of the barrel of the gun." Mao outlawed gun ownership, and it's estimated that under Mao, there was between 40 million and 80 million deaths. Now what's happening, Falun Gong practitioners have been probably the main source of forced organ supply, and the Uyghurs are in concentration camps. Gun owners are watching. We urge a yes vote on making Macomb County a sanctuary, Second Amendment county. Thank you.
Thank you. Next.
Hi, my name is Mike Elmo. I'm from Macomb County. I'm just here to explain why I'm for this proposal. In recent events in the U.S. in the last year and a half, it's alarming to law-abiding citizens who deserve a protection. Police defunding, chop zones, summer of love, zero bails for criminals, and dropping of charges for most who have burnt, looted, and attacked police officers does nothing but promote increased violence. At the same time, the current administration, the federal government, is talking about additional gun restrictions, imposing them on the law-abiding citizens, while unregistered guns will still stay with the criminals when they take ours away. Fortunately, Michigan and our top cities have not been affected as much as the cities like Seattle, Portland, Minneapolis, St. Louis, New York City have been. I give many thanks to Mayor Dugan and James Craig for not allowing Detroit to be burnt and looted like the other cities have. That being said, legislation is being passed in Michigan restricting what police can do, while many officers throughout the United States are retiring and just plain stopping arresting criminals due to the political pressure on them. In some cases, entire departments have resigned due to the political injustices put upon them. I personally know people that have changed their career choices from criminal justice because of what's happening in our country. Look at the recent incident in St. Louis where the attorney couple were trying to protect themselves in their homes. People invaded a gated community. They were trespassing. They were threatening to kill them. They were threatening to take over their house. And all these people did was stood there holding their weapons. They didn't point them at anybody, but they got arrested. They had attorney's fees. They wound up settling, and they had their guns taken away from them. And I think that's what, to me, this resolution here is for, is to help protect us from those injustices that were put upon those attorneys. Thanks for your time.
My name is Carol Rebant, and I'm from Oakland County, and thank you so much for allowing all of us to be here today. I'm just going to speak for 1 minute, and I'm going to speak from my heart as a woman. And in that vein, there are 4 things that make me feel safe in society. One is God. One is strong, brave men. One is the right to own and bear arms. And the police. And I feel that there are many of those out there that want God out of our society. They want to turn our men into women. They want to take away our gun rights and to defund the police. I believe that the absence of these 4 things make those in society vulnerable to abuse. I support the Constitutional Sanctuary County Resolution and request this Board of Commissioners to vote in favor of the resolution. This is really a historical opportunity, and it's my hope that other Michigan counties, including my own, will follow the example of courage that you may set by passing this resolution. Again, I'm an Oakland County resident, and I encourage my county commissioners to model after this historic resolution if you should pass it. Thank you.
Good afternoon. How are you folks doing today? I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Terrence McClain. wanted to come here and just speak real quick for our Second Amendment rights and the resolution you're getting ready to vote on. I'm a law enforcement officer. I have been for 35 years. I'm currently, as a private contractor with the government, with the DEA. I worked with the city of Detroit, as a Detroit police officer for 5 years, 26 years with the Oakland County Sheriff's Office. 12 out of those years, I ran an FBI task force and a DEA task force out of Oakland and Macomb counties on our borders here. In all those years, I've enforced the Constitution that we abide by in this great country of ours and in the state of Michigan. In all those years, I can say in 35 plus years, it may be an anomaly, but I've never arrested somebody in my whole career who was a legal CPL holder or who was a citizen that obtained their weapon legally. The smoke screen that is put up by some political agendas on trying to take away our Second Amendment rights, to me, is ridiculous. There's a ton of laws on the books. You can't have it both ways. You can't defund the police and then want to make more laws to enforce the Second Amendment. The laws are there. Law enforcement is more than able to enforce these laws if given the opportunity to. Another law is going to do nothing to take guns away from criminals. They're going to take them away from law-abiding citizens. It to me is a ridiculous ploy to try to throw a smokescreen up. Let's go and take away the guns from from criminals and from illegal citizens that shouldn't have them in the first place. The laws are there. Let's enforce them. And I'm speaking as a law enforcement officer for 30-some years. I'm only speaking for myself, obviously, but working for the city, for the county, for the state, and for the federal government. I think I have a pretty good perspective on this issue. And I've taken thousands of guns away, made hundreds, if not thousands of arrests, and taken a lot of drugs out of this county and Oakland County. And I just appeal to your common sense to pass this amendment and keep our the Second Amendment safe for Macomb County and their citizens. Thank you.
Hello. My name is Vivian Campbell, lifelong Macomb County resident. I'll be honest, I didn't know what the agenda was today. I came to speak on something else, which now I'll wait till the end. But now that I know it's about this, I feel very strongly about this amendment. And in our family, we actually, I'm going to cry, had somebody that was shot in the Parkland, Florida school shooting. Thank God he survived. He's 100% good. But we know the pain, the fear, and everything, but I'm also smart enough to know that it was the sick person, and had the right person had a gun, he probably could have been stopped.
Anyone else wish to speak?
Hello, County Commissioner. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. And thank you for voting last meeting in favor of this, for those who voted in favor of the constitutional sanctuary county. As many of you know, I'm an immigrant. When I became an American citizen, I took an oath to support the Constitution of the United States of America. As I stated before in this room, when I came to this country, I felt saved. One of the reasons was because coming from grieving the loss of my father, who didn't have the gun to defend himself from a criminal who shot him, I felt this was another place. We were living safe here now. When in the resolution it says, whereas a constitutional sanctuary county is defined as a place of refuge for the law-abiding citizen in regard to the citizens' rights under the Constitution of the United States of America and Michigan Constitution, including but not limited to the Second Amendment right to keep and bear arms. You need to remember that being a Second Amendment supporter, as some of you stated in one of the meetings that I attended, is not enough in this moment. The Democrats claim, oh, we are Second Amendment supporters too. However, at the same time, you are creating laws to infringe the rights of those who carry it. I love the people here are able to carry it. I love that we are free here. And those who claim or scold us that we are doing the wrong thing or going to the news and said that we are trying to take away the legal rights of the people, stop the false statements. You know it's not right. You know you had a political agenda. This resolution claims to support us and is to support us as the Constitution says all men are created equally, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable, it's hard for me that word, but unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Life, you had to protect your life, and with a finger or a banana, you can't do it. You need a gun. Liberty, so we can be able to express ourselves, which I love from this country, we are able to be here. In the pursuit of happiness, we need to protect the life so we can enjoy life and happiness. I'm pleading you, please continue supporting this ordinance. Let's get done with this resolution and pass it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. Good evening. Tommy Smith of Chesterfield. I want to talk about a couple things. There was a comment that was made at the very first meeting when this resolution was introduced, having to do with tanks and bombs. When my team and I wrote this resolution, we don't remember putting tanks and bombs in there. And I have a problem with that because when you say things like that, it scares people who don't know what this is. And then they refuse to educate themselves. And the Second Amendment is not about gutting a deer or hunting. It was made because this country was almost not a country because a force tried to take away the arms to defend itself, so it would have been easier to take over. We would not be here today if it weren't for guns. Honestly, if there's some people that refer to the Second Amendment as deer hunting, and it's not about deer hunting. It really shows your education on the U.S. Constitution. I think you need to go back and read it or resign, for some of you. Keep in mind, and I can tell you 1 + 1 is 2, and you'll insist it's 3, but you know, an armed society is harder, if not impossible, to take over than an unarmed society. That's the whole principle. That's the whole thing behind this entire thing called the Second Amendment that you don't understand, okay? And it keeps coming back every year to this county because it's the will of the people. And our rights don't come from you, any of you, they come from God. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Jordan Rumble. I am a Macomb County resident. I'm here not only to in support of this resolution, but actually as one of the people who also helped form to make it happen. And I can also verify that we did not do this with the intention of getting access to tanks and nukes and different things like that. We did it because we are in fear of losing our Constitution. And we took time and we sacrificed to try and push for this to happen. And the reason why we did that is because men so many years ago fought and died and sacrificed for the Constitution to exist. And that is the same reason why you are here today as our representatives, to represent us and to uphold the Constitution. And we wouldn't be here today if we weren't afraid of this. We hear things like our president telling us that no amendment is absolute. We have bills that are constantly being pushed and in some cases being passed that do nothing to actually combat gun violence, but in most cases just target law-abiding gun owners and try to victimize them as criminals. And you know, if we are here today because it is not it is our duty. It is our duty to be here today to demand that the Constitution is upheld, just as it is your duty to uphold it. And that is really what I hope that you all choose to do today. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Dawn Beady, and I'm a Macomb County resident. I wasn't going to speak today, but I really don't like public speaking, believe it or not. But, you know, as a CPL holder and a woman and a mother, when I leave my house if I'm not protected, I'm putting myself at risk of someone harming me or my child, which is the reason that I got one in the first place. I know of people who have been carjacked. I know of people who have been assaulted in public for no reason, and it scared me to be out with my daughter unprotected. I pray to God that I never ever will have to use it, but I do carry it with me in order to protect myself and my family. I also carry when I have my grandchildren around. They don't know, it's concealed. But there's no way that I can take on a man with a gun, and I won't have time to call 911 when there's a gun to my forehead. So for that reason primarily, along with the fact that it is a constitutional right to carry, I would like to ask you to please pass this resolution. Thank you.
Thank you all very much for giving us this forum in our free country to speak to our elected officials. Thank you very much. My name's Tom Mitchell. I'm from Macomb County. Nice to hear from an immigrant that spoke a few minutes ago that's here in this country because we're free and have a right to protect ourselves. This is why I love America. One of the other narratives going around, another speaker mentioned political agendas. I want to take it right back to the basics. A gun is an inanimate object, and I think some political agendas don't want to admit that. I'll repeat that. A gun is an inanimate object. And I'm just amazed at how many narratives are out there to turn it into something that they want to remove from existence. The 10th Amendment has something to do with states' rights. And by passing this resolution, which I hope you good folks will do, will also ensure that our elected officials, including the sheriff, understands that if anybody tries to pass laws or regulations or rules that infringe upon our rights, that those laws are unconstitutional. And our elected officials and authorities have a right not to follow those laws. And I haven't heard anybody speak about this very part of the topic. This is real dangerous. If the federal government passes a law that says you can't own a gun, that's unconstitutional. That's simplifying it, but our elected sheriff is our last line of defense not to let laws like this be enforced. This is what else is at stake by not passing a resolution in kind of the public court of opinion to let the county and elected officials know, including the executive, we want nobody to mess with our Second Amendment. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Carrie Thomas, and I live in Utica. I'd like to thank the Macomb County Board of Commissioners for listening to my view today. The entire purpose of this resolution is to insert ambiguity and personal opinion into the legal system and prohibit law enforcement from enforcing democratically enacted gun violence prevention laws that are meant to provide a safer environment for citizens. It is not up to the Macomb Board of Commissioners to attempt to circumvent the laws of the nation and undermine the rule of law. It is up to the Supreme Court of the United States and the state Supreme Courts to determine constitutionality, and not up to sheriffs, prosecuting attorneys, and politicians. This resolution seeks to disregard the will of the voters, circumvent the legislative process, and short-circuit the judicial function by saying the Macomb Board of Commissioners are arbiters of the law. Where gun violence prevention laws such as red flag laws and background checks are in place, they have repeatedly been upheld as constitutional under the Second Amendment. The vast majority of Americans support common sense gun laws that can keep our families safe. Instead of passing dangerous resolutions that add confusion to the system with no impact on local law, the Macomb Board of Commissioners should focus on solutions to keep our families safe in Macomb. I'm asking you to please vote no to this resolution.
Good afternoon. My name is Joseph Hayes. I'm a longtime resident of Macomb County. I'd like to thank all of the board members for showing up and allowing this forum and examining this resolution, which I believe you should pass. The article that this resolution pertains to, everybody knows, is the Second Amendment. And the only way to change that Second Amendment out of existence is by having two-thirds of the House, two-thirds of the Senate, and three-fourths of the entire nation, states, to change our Constitution and get rid of the Second Amendment. What this does, the way I read it, is shores up an already endangered right that we're all experiencing right now. In other words, a lot of people spoke more eloquently than I did about this issue, and guns don't kill people. People with bad intent kill people. And murder weapons are weapons. An assault weapon could be a frying pan, a baseball bat, a knife, a car, and it's all been done before. Our Second Amendment rights are under siege right now, and I urge this board to shore up this constitutional right by drawing a line in the sand saying that Macomb County is now part of a growing group of counties in the state of Michigan. At last count, 51% of the counties in the state of Michigan are Second Amendment counties. If you look at the county map for the entire nation, it's 50% or more. And there are, I don't know the names of the states, but I think there are 2 states that are Second Amendment states. Our Constitution is under attack. People have wrong narratives, and they probably have other reasons for having these negative views on our rights in the Constitution as we have them. One more thing was, in 1791, after the ratification of the Constitution, Benjamin Franklin was asked by a group of people shortly after the signing, well, Mr. Franklin, what kind of country have you given us? And he said, a republic, if you can keep it. We live in a republic, not a democracy. No nameless, faceless, faceless, taxpayer-funded organizations that are not elected have the right to change our laws. You, though, have the right to shore up our Second Amendment. I strongly urge that you please vote yes on this resolution. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Paul Driscoll. I live in Washington Township. I sent some emails to you just yesterday. I look at Macomb County trends, and I'm looking at the crime. And actually, the crime has risen 25% from just this month, and this is updated every day, 25% from last month, okay? If we look at property crime, it's up 216%. If we look at violent crime, it's up 117% from just last month, okay? And then I also sent, okay, a little layout of Michigan. Right now, there's 47 counties out of 83 that are sanctuary counties for the Second Amendment. That's 57%. So this isn't something that, is going to be new, okay? It's something that we should be doing to protect ourselves, our families, okay? And if you look across America, there's 1,930 counties, okay, that are sanctuary Second Amendment. That's 61.39%, okay? So please, and again, if you take and you throw more laws on, again, the only people that are going to suffer are law-abiding citizens. I carry a CPL. I'm also a survivor from Vietnam, okay? I served in 69, 70. And I can tell you, it isn't the gun that kills the person. It's the person pulling the trigger. So thank you, and please, please consider supporting this amendment.
Good afternoon. My name is Neil Taylor. I live in Utica, Michigan. I've heard two arguments that are going on here. One is that Second Amendment rights are trying to be taken away. And, people see this shirt and say, well, that's what I'm all about. And that is the biggest lie in the room today. The Second Amendment is part of our Constitution. People have the right to own and bear arms. There's no question about that. But the resolution that you're looking at today has some caveats in it, very carefully worded caveats and what it says is that if any organization that you have any control over decides they're going to follow a law that you disagree with, you can defund them. That means you're in control of the law now. And so that means the Sheriff's Department is going to live in concern of whether they can do their legal right, what they're supposed to do. Are they supposed to follow the law that is supposed to be constitutionally? It's been through the courts and said it's constitutionally sound. Or are they supposed to ignore them? And then perhaps an innocent person could get hurt. How many people have to die? I mean, come up with percentages. Is one child that found a gun that shot themselves enough for you to say we have to have some concern? So my biggest concern, I wouldn't even be here if it was just about the Second Amendment, if it was just about ownership of guns. Absolutely, we have that right. But when you start giving yourselves the power to affect other organizations in our county to distort the laws of the country, there's a problem. So I think you should be careful, because you're really getting into an area where you don't want to be. I haven't heard one argument other than we support the Second Constitution, but this does more. It's more damaging than that. I hope you read it in its entirety. I assume you did, because it's more important to understand that it wasn't written the way it needs to be written. It needs to be written in a more way that everyone can support. And as I said, I wouldn't even be here if it was a simple supporting of the Second Amendment. That would be fine with me, because I agree with it. It's part of the laws of the country. So I urge you to vote no and reevaluate it and come back with a resolution that does support the Second Amendment only, without you taking responsibility for circumventing the laws of the country. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Ralph Rebant. I appreciate the time today. I'm from Oakland County, and I come because I find this a very interesting discussion, and I appreciate your time listening to all of us. I'd like to come at it from a little different perspective. Before I make my little speech, I'd just like to say, with all due respect to the previous speaker, if someone dies from a car accident, do we outlaw cars or bicycles? So when we began tonight, or this afternoon, we began with the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. Our founding fathers pledged their lives, their fortunes, and their sacred honor. They knew what it was like and what it meant to make a covenant with one another, to keep their word, to be truth tellers. And the direction from which I'd like to come is this. All of you have taken an oath of office. I've taken an oath of office as a police chaplain. I've been required to say the same words that you have said. But the biggest question is, does the proposal before you violate that oath that you took, or does it actually support it? And I would say to you that it does support it. And those of us who understand that are encouraging you to vote yes on this, because we're not asking you to violate your oath of office, but rather we're asking you, based on your sacred honor, like our founding fathers did, who wrote the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, to rely on that. And so I would just encourage you, before God, can you say in good conscience that I'm going to go against the oath that I took?
Thank you. Anyone else?
Hello, my name is Glenn Goreski, and I'm from Livingston County. I'd like to thank all of the commissioners here for considering the proposed constitutional sanctuary county resolution for Macomb County. You have heard from many citizens regarding their thoughts on the proposed resolution. There have been passionate speeches and pleas from both sides, some of which play at the heartstrings of this debate over the right to self-preservation given by our Creator. Whichever way you are leaning in voting for or against this proposal, there is only one question you must ask yourself before you cast your vote. I'll get into that question in just a moment. First, let me say that this is not necessarily a direct argument for or about guns. There is nothing in this proposal which increases or forces gun ownership, nothing that changes current gun laws, nothing that will put guns in schools, and nothing that will have any effect on current gun-related injuries. Nothing. I could get into all sorts of statistics, but I won't. They don't matter in this debate. There's a wise old saying, statistics don't lie, statisticians do. There is a reason why the founders of this country and this state made firearm ownership by citizens a top priority, such as the Second Amendment of the Constitution and Article 1, Section 6 of the Constitution of Michigan, which states every person has a right to keep and bear arms for the defense of himself and the state. So now, back to that question you must ask yourselves. Will you protect your constituents' rights to self-preservation guaranteed by both the U.S. and Michigan constitutions by assuring that those rights will not be taken away by any governing authority? That's it. Nothing more. Say yes because it's right. Say yes because you took an oath of public office. And say yes because you care about your constituents' rights. Thank you.
Is there anyone else who wishes to be heard? Anyone else wish to be heard on any item on the agenda? One last time. Please come up. You have 3 minutes on any topic on the agenda.
Okay, Joe Lucent, lifelong resident. So I have an observation and a question, all right? So the last year and a half or so, I've seen a ton of new hotels popping up around our county, all right? Some reconditioned, but a lot of brand new ones. Now, we have no tourism here, right? We have no new business here. Who's coming to town? Somebody knows. Somebody's approved something. And I'm just wondering where all these hotels, like I say, who's funding them and who's moving into all these hotels? Most of us live here and have a residence here. I'm just wondering who's coming to visit in our town. So that's the question. Does anybody know? Can anybody answer that?
We're forbidden by our policy. We're interacting with members of the public. This is your time to speak. You get your opinion without interruptions from us.
Okay, well,
Period.
and it was, I know, December of, I think it was 2019, our local son, our business manager of Macomb County, had written a letter to the United States I think it was Mike Pompeo, Secretary of State, saying, you know, we will be gladly take, and this letter was online, we'll gladly take all of the refugees that you can offer us because we're a very diverse community. Now, I'm all for diversification, right? But you got to bring something to the table, you know what I'm saying? And I personally am going to hold accountable and make sure that I know when we get flooded with all kinds of visitors, you know, who knew about what, because I think in the cloak of night, cities are filling up with folks that I'm paying their way for. All right, and I've paid a lot of taxes in this town. I've been a business owner for 35 years, paid my way a lot of times, and paid a lot of people's way. But there's got to be a point where the you know, the cup is runneth over and drying out. So just want to make that observation that a lot of people have noticed all of this construction, new hotels coming, and renovated old ones that never had occupants in the first place. So just wondering. All right, thanks.
Participation. Anyone else? Anyone else want to speak under public participation one final time? Seeing none, we'll close public participation. There'll be an opportunity at the end of the agenda to speak on any item you wish at that time. So we'll close public participation. Item number 7 is correspondence from the Executive's Office. There is none. Item 8 is proclamations. We have 3 proclamations this afternoon, and the first one I'm going to present, proclamation presented for Karen Jannell for 24 years of dedicated public service. Karen, if you'd step forward to the podium and I'll meet you there. Can I have a motion?
Can I make that motion to
please?
approve?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Kraft.
Support.
Support.
This gives me great privilege, and I'm happy to present this recognition from the Board of Commissioners to you, Karen, on your retirement. Karen and I have known each other, worked together side by side for over 25 years, and she's been not only a co-worker but a friend, and someone I've learned a lot from through my time. And first of all, thank you so much for everything you've done for me and the kindness you've shown my family over the years. I really appreciate that. The Board of Commissioners also has some few words they wanted to say, and I'm going to read this because of all the many times you've presented these things to people, and the time you deserve to have one read to you for a change. This proclamation commending Karen Jannell on her 24 years of dedicated public service. Whereas Macomb County Board of Commissioners would like to express their sincere appreciation and commendation to Karen Jannell for more than 24 consecutive years of dedicated public service, including her 4 years as Deputy Commissioner for Macomb Public Works Commissioner's Office. Whereas Karen Jannell invested enormous amounts of time, energy, and effort to the Macomb County Public Works Office as Deputy Commissioner to Public Works Commissioner Candace Miller. She used her experience and practicality in combination with innovative ideas in order to implement and updated solutions to many important areas in the office. Whereas Karen Jannell's dedication to her community has encompassed areas through various roles in her lengthy public career. For nearly 6 years, Karen Jannell served as Director of External Affairs for Michigan Secretary of State. She also served 14 years as District Director, beginning in 2003 for then Congresswoman Candace Miller, representing the 10th Congressional District. And whereas Karen Jannell was not only a valuable employee throughout her career, she was also instrumental to the Macomb County Public Works Office from her very first days during the major sinkhole disaster at 15 Mile and Mound. She was a key player in the office's remarkable completion of a full repair to the devastating sinkhole in less than 1 year. Whereas also during her time as Public Works Commission, Karen Jannell accomplished many great advances in the office, including overseeing the leading edge permit and plan review portal for the massive ongoing digitalization project, which records records going back many decades. Whereas Karen Jannell will be greatly missed and fondly remembered and appreciated for all that she has done in her years of dedicated public service to the County of Macomb and the state of Michigan. The Board of Commissioners extends its congratulations and best wishes to Karen Jannell on this occasion of her retirement. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed by the Macomb County Board of Commissioners, speaking for and on behalf of all county residents, that by these presents the Macomb County Board of Commissioners hereby publicly commends, acknowledge, and expresses appreciation and gratitude to Karen Jannell for her many years of public service. Be it further proclaimed that this suitable copy of this proclamation will be presented to Karen Jannell in testimony of the high esteem in which she is held by the Macomb County Board of Commissioners.
How nice is that?
Very good. Thank you. Jerry, come up, Jerry. Jerry.
I introduced my husband, Jerry, who, after all these 24 years, has supported me.
Come on.
I just want to thank you so much for this. It's very meaningful to me. I have so enjoyed working with all of you over these many years. It seems like forever, both in the congressional operation and here at Public Works. All of you have been exceptionally hardworking commissioners, and I appreciate all that you have done for the Macomb County Public Works Office. I appreciate the Board of Commissioners as well as the Executive Office. We've gone through tremendous changes at the department, and I'm very proud of the work that we've done there. Very excited to see what else is going to be accomplished here in Macomb County. I was born here, raised here. Couldn't be happier that everything is going so well. So thank you so much. This is very meaningful to me. Thank you. Take a photo.
Absolutely.
Great.
Okay. Man, this better be great. Okay.
Great.
Thanks, John.
Thank you,
Appreciate it.
Karen.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jared. Thank you.
Thanks for nice words.
Thank you, Commissioners. Been a motion made and supported. Please vote.
Mr. Chair, I would like to speak.
Oh, please, Commissioner. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
He does this to me all the time. Karen, if you're still here. Karen.
Karen Jannell?
Karen Zernell. Karen Zernell.
The roast is not over.
We're not done yet.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
I'm going to be very brief. I met Karen when I worked for Congresswoman Candace Miller, and Karen was the district director. And I went in for an interview, and Karen was the one to interview me. And went through the interview. I thought everything went fine. About a half hour later, I get a phone call from Karen saying, "You got the job." And I'm thinking to myself, did you ask the Congresswoman? Do I meet the Congresswoman? When does all that happen? And she goes, just come in. Just come in and start working for us. But that's how much faith and confidence the Congresswoman had in Karen. And I can't thank you enough for taking a chance on a kid who lived in Macomb County his whole life from Chesterfield and got to work for his Congresswoman. And we had a really fantastic team. Don was part of that team. And we had a great district, great team, great Congresswoman. And Karen, I cannot thank you enough. And thank you for your years of service. You've been a true public servant. Thank you, Karen. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Well said, Commissioner Kraft. My apologies. Anyone else? Very good. Please vote.
The motion passes 12-0.
All right, thank you. Item Proclamation 8B, proclamation honoring Officer Ficus for 2021 Michigan Department of Corrections Officer of the Year. Commissioner Sabatini.
I'll move on that motion, Mr. Chair.
Please.
Support from Matuzik.
Very good. Floor is yours, Commissioner.
Thank you, Chair. Officer Vish here. He was honored as the 2021 Michigan Department of Corrections Officer of the Year, and I felt this resolution was fitting for the occasion. And if he could just introduce who he has here with us, because I think that's so important.
I have my wife, Brooklyn, and my daughter, Lily.
And I just wanted to say a few words in regards to what's in the resolution here today. Officer Vij is a Macomb Township resident, one of my constituents. He began his career with MDOC 9 years ago as a corrections officer with the Thumb Correctional Facility in Lapeer. He's devoted his vital role in public service and well known for his positive outlook and tireless efforts toward the betterment of the lives of all. So he's been an incredible asset to the safety and security of the facility, and I just want to recognize him today for all of his public service and everything he does for our community. So thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, sure. Just did this one with Karen.
Oh, I can probably get the copy from her. I took some from here.
Thank you. Thank you.
You know, I've been trained in a lot of things, but public speaking is not one of them. But I just want to thank you guys once again. And Lily doesn't like public speaking either. Thank you again, once guys. Thank you so much. Honored to be here.
Thank you. Does anyone else wish to speak? Thank you. Motion's been made and supported. Please vote to approve this. All right.
The motion passes 11-0.
Thank you. Item 8C, proclamation memory of a former Macomb County Commissioner, Phyllis DeSalia. It's offered by Commissioner Kraft and myself. No one from the family is here today, so we're going to, Commissioner Kraft and I presented it another time to the family when they're available. So I'd like a motion to approve this.
Motion by Farrington.
Thank you. Please vote. Yeah, I will say just for the record, Joe, that there is something on the record. Commissioner Say was a long-serving commissioner on this board for many years, and her heart and dedication to serve the members of the public was, like all of us, that we share a certain bond with our community. And she was a tireless worker and advocate for her constituents, and she'll be missed. So, thank you.
The motion passes 11-0.
Item 9 is presentations. We have update on COVID. Our able deputy executive, Vivian Campbell, is here. Good afternoon.
Chair, I'll make a motion to receive and file.
Motion's been made.
Support Farrington.
Very good. Vicki, the floor is yours.
Great. Thank you, Chair. Good afternoon, Commissioners. Now it's on? Sorry, it was red, so I thought it was off. We are here again in week number 67 to give you an update on where we're at with COVID, and more as we've been doing over the last few months, we're all returning back to normal, or trying to get to what a new normal is. And I think we've seen that even more so in the past week or two, with a lot of changes that have been going on. And it's kind of a funny time when you do this, and it's somewhat an awkward moment when you start to move out of that emergency and crisis mode and into that normal, especially when it's an emergency that lasts this long. I know when you were honoring Karen, you mentioned the sinkhole. That's probably my second longest emergency that I've ever been through. A little shorter than this, just over 12 months. I think we were kind of in that emergency mode. It's sometimes hard to let go and figure out what that new normal is. But we are moving into that stage, and a lot of that has to do with all the hard work that people have done, not only in the county, but in the public. As we know, our case counts are lower. Our vaccination rate is just above 50% for fully vaccinated individuals. We have a lot of other mitigation measures that are staying in place that are helping us to stay protected. We've seen the rescission of emergency orders in the state happen this week. So a lot of those rules, most of those rules are no longer effective except for certain industries. And again, just that urgency and that overwhelming need, of feeling like you're in a crisis, really has started to go away. Doesn't mean that we're not going to remain vigilant, that we're not monitoring, keeping things in place. But we are in that mode and moving through it. We're taking all the lessons learned with us and cautiously moving forward. So with a lot of what we're doing, we've been cutting back. We're going to continue to cut back on some of our programs. And really a lot of that transition is part of taking what we've done with COVID and incorporating it into departments just as they would for any other normal emergency. So if there's a change made within the health department, COVID, though it's a new disease for some of us, it's going to become a communicable disease for them, just like everything else they deal with in there. So some of that normalcy is coming back and has been coming back. Part of that normalcy, we stopped our department leader meeting this week. We were holding them monthly. The EOC has started. Really, we're all virtual now. We're all starting to go back. I'm back in my office here now more than ever than at the EOC. And as part of that, this will be our last monthly report in this fashion for that purpose. Doesn't mean we're going away. Doesn't mean we won't come back with the report. But in this format, it'll look a little different going forward. As you've seen, individual departments are bringing items to you. All of that will continue as it has. We'll still give you updates on the money. But this compilation won't be in this format necessarily as we go forward. So based on what our departments have been doing over the past month since we last met, probably starting with community action, the biggest item that they had and we talked about was the emergency rental assistance program. To date, they have 368 applications that have come in and that are being processed, and that program is still open. We talked about a lot of the federal and state funds that are coming down. I don't know if you noticed in some of the announcements from the governor this week, we're starting to see more of that. One of the programs is the SNAP program, the Nutrition and Food Assistance Program. That was announced this week, so there'll be money coming into community action for that program. So that's a good sign to see that coming into the county. Emergency management, they're going to continue and have been involved in the whole testing vaccination program and the ongoing outreach that we'll be doing. They also updated our plan for its last version, our 9th version. That plan, our preparedness and response plan for the county is no longer needed based on the orders that were rescinded, but we did complete 9 versions of that. And also the SMART program that we've been doing, our partnership with them has been an ongoing process. Again, less calls into that, less needs for transportation, but we're committed to that moving forward as is SMART. That's been a wonderful program for us. I think we had over 30,000 calls come into the center, so those are 30,000 people that actually contacted us to get an appointment for a vaccine. And then we provided close to 1,000 rides to individuals within the county. So something we're very proud of. When you look at where we're at within the budget, you have the normal budget reports attached. Since the last time we met, we spent close to $8 million. A lot of that having to do with the health department response. And the funds coming within there, whether it was for labor, contract services, for vaccination program itself, for the testing supplies, and also reimbursement to the many local entities that have helped us through that process. We have approximately $9 million left in our CARES fund to spend through the end of the year, and majority of those programs that are left will continue to be the health department and payroll. We still have a large amount to reimburse to the locals as part of their municipal relief program. And as of to date, I still believe we have not received our ARP funding. I know Steve's still trying to get approved through that process, but our actual first amount has not come in. Health Department highlights, testing continues, obviously a decrease in numbers. Last month we did just over 900 tests out at the Baker site. Just to give you a perspective, the month before we did over 3,000. So again, a decline, though we still will be offering that through the health department. We continue to have strike teams that go out into the over 400 congregate care sites. If they ask for us to do testing service for their staff or their residents, we are still doing that. And we still have sites in Sterling Heights and Warren through Access that are out there and available to the public. For the month of June so far, we've done just over 25,000 tests. Looking at May, there were 55,000 tests done. So again, you can see the decline. We've had only 522 positive cases in the county, and our positivity rate is down to 2%. Last month when I came, it was just below 9%. So again, really good stat to see. Our Baker lease expires this month. As you know, we had it extended last month, and right now we are making plans to actually take over the lease for Lakeside that Sterling Heights had for operating their vaccination site. They are willing to sign that over to us. The owners of Sears and Lakeside are willing to have us come on board. So we're very lucky to be able to have that site, the drive-through site. We're actually looking at it and using it for testing and vaccination at the same point in time. So we will continue to offer that service. And I believe it's half the cost. So I think we were paying $10,000 a month at Baker, and I think it's just over $5,000 at Lakeside. Vaccination efforts continue, though again we have decreased. This past month did just over 12,000 doses were given through our health department, compared with 60,000 the prior month. The VERC site, our Southwest Health Center site, or Majestic Plaza are still open, as well as the Lakeside site. Continuing to partner wherever and whenever we can with anyone that would like us to come out. Again, we're doing congregate cares. We're still both doing a homebound service. We did some programs with the schools in setting up clinics. So we are still working on all of that and trying to be creative as we move forward. And probably one of the items that, while we've been doing it all along, is still the planning that goes on with the schools. A lot of questions and concerns from the schools themselves, as well as parents, on what it's going to look like in the fall. Obviously, there's summer programs that are operating right now that they're concerned with as well, but there's a huge focus on the fall, and we're anticipating in the next week or so that the state will come out with at least some interim guidance, and then maybe take another look at their plans for the fall at mid-July, early August, hopefully, to have what their recommendations are going to be for that environment. IT, as you know, had 61 projects, our largest group of projects using our CARE funds. They are almost done. They only have 2 projects left out of the 61, and one of their largest projects, our software-defined networking, don't ask me what exactly that is, but it has to do with our IT infrastructure, is complete. And that was huge for us to be able to get that done through CARES Act and take us ahead and into the future. For our JIC and media operations, again, they've been involved heavily over the past month in the different orders that have been have come to fruition and now ended, and then obviously our educational campaigns and trying to get the word out on vaccines and testing and what this change, even in the orders, means for everybody. We continue to send out the newsletter. We have cut back on that. It was once a week. We're now going to every other week, but we still have over 45,000 subscribers, so that's great. Planning, they continue their support with the emergency rental assistance program. They're still doing their outreach with businesses. And again, part of the legislation and new funding program that was announced this week is more funds for business, small businesses and nonprofits. And we anticipate that will be coming probably more likely through MEDC and down to our planning department. As you all know, we initiated several different grants through that program. So hopefully we'll see that paperwork come in the next few weeks and be able to get that up and running. Our hospital, healthcare, and long-term care, again, extremely good report there. We currently it was as of today, just 13 patients in Macomb County hospitals due to COVID, so that trend is continuing. And with that, that is the end of my report for the month. As you can see, if you haven't, I don't think you've met him in person yet, as we're all coming back in. Andrew Cox is here with me today, our health officer. We'd be happy to answer any questions that you may
Vicki,
have.
I've got a couple of brief questions. The current sites, are we doing any current sites, any outside of our health department facilities for vaccinations? Any specialty sites maybe that target unique populations? Are any of those, are those still up or?
Good afternoon, commissioners. It's good seeing you in person. So we do have a few, we're working with some businesses and we're doing some school sites as well. Most of those are second dose clinics to follow up on the first dose clinics that we administered vaccines at. But we're working with all the districts, and they're obviously welcome to work with us in the future as well. We have St. Clement actually in your district as well, in Romeo. We're doing something with them as well. That's going to be coming, I believe, next week.
Okay. Get me back to church.
Yeah.
I'm just joking. Going forward, though, what's the prognosis? I'm getting questions of how long do we have to keep these up? I mean, what's the prognosis going forward for the next wave? I mean, are they planning for another wave, or what's the buzz?
Yeah, you want to?
They probably don't know, but but who knows?
Right, because of the potential for a spike, potentially in the fall, and yes, Andrew can talk to that a little more. We are going to want to keep up the plexiglass till we see what that spike or next wave is. We just think it's prudent to do that at this time with the time, effort, and money that was spent to put those up, and again, just another good mitigation measure to keep in place at this time.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Matuzik.
Thanks, Vicki. Another great report.
Thank you.
We brought on a lot of temporary workers, contact tracing and other stuff. Are we at this point where we're letting those folks go? Are we redeploying them in a different way? What's happening with all those folks? It was a lot of people.
Yes to both of those. So yes, some are being let go through their contract agencies that we have. Obviously trying to keep some of them on as much as we can in case there is a spike, but some have been let go. A few we have repurposed. Again, we had a lot of call center staff for the SMART program. So there is still some work that is going on and staff work that needs to be done, especially when you start looking at catching up with paperwork and the different records that we have and things like that. So we are trying to redeploy them, but at the same time, yes, acknowledging that if we need to let them go, we are letting them go. I know several, at least from the emergency management side, we're not technically cutting their employment or anything. They know that there could be a next wave. So they're just sitting tight until we can use them, which is, really great of them to say, nope, I can stay on call. And if you need me, just call me back.
Great. Second question. Really early in the vaccine process, we really focused on first responders and the healthcare folks in congregate sites and senior sites, and the response rate was fairly low in terms of vaccines. Have we done anything to circle back around to them now, maybe with more information or more encouragement to get vaccines?
Yeah, Commissioner, it's a great question. It's still not where we want it to be. We would like it to be higher. Especially in those congregate cares, those nursing home situations where we knew the spread was so devastating to all those residents. The numbers are still not there, like I said. What we've done is we've organized strike teams to go back into the nursing homes if they choose and they want us to come out. And we have gotten a few staff that way. It's not where we want it to be, but we'll continue to do those efforts with the strike teams and offer any place of whether it's an apartment complex or a congregate care site to come out and do vaccination efforts out on site to make it even easier and convenient for the staff.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Matuzik. Commissioner Song.
Thank you, Chair. Hi, Vicki.
Hello.
Under the CARES spending plan, what exactly is municipal relief? What falls under that?
That was a program where we allocated funding under CARES to every jurisdiction in the county. For CARES funding, they did not get any allocation from the federal program. So we made the decision to give each of those municipalities an amount. We settled on roughly 10 million and then divided it up based on population for those jurisdictions. And they were able to use that funding much of the same use as we did for CARES. So whether they needed PPE or plexiglass or wanted to use it for payroll for their first responders, those were the types of expenditures they could use the funds on. And then they submit their reimbursement packets to us. We clear them and make sure that they meet all of our grant requirements, and then they're given their reimbursement.
Okay. Would you be able to provide a report or breakdown of that spending? Or
yeah, we can give you the breakdown on who's been reimbursed and what amounts they were allocated.
Okay,
Yes.
great. Yes, that would be really helpful.
Sure.
And then my second question is, I noticed for the Open for Business grants, it was reduced from 70 million to 39 million. And I know a lot of businesses are still struggling. So what was the thought process behind that? Did you guys not get enough applications, or you just, at the beginning, set it at 70, and then at some point, like, why was it reduced so drastically?
Yeah, it was reduced based on demand, like you said. We had it at 70 million. We had a number of different programs that we offered for businesses and nonprofits in the county. And the funding that was distributed was, again, based on need and the number of applications that we received. So seeing that, especially when we thought the funds expired last December, we obviously had to reallocate money. We did run, other programs shortly thereafter to see if there was interest, but there wasn't at the time. So we just kept reducing it down and using it in different areas.
Is there any plan to offer additional support?
Based on the amount of funding that we have at this time, no. But that's why, too, we're hopeful in knowing that the programs that are out there, just like the new state legislation that was passed, we'll be getting pass-through funds from the state that we'll use through our planning department. And then depending on where we see the remaining spending of our CARE funds, there could be a small program that we run. And then also depending on where we end up with our ARP funds and what that gets utilized for and that. So we want to see what other pots of money are out there.
Okay. Thank you, Vicki. And thank you, Chair.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Commissioner Song. Commissioner Kleinfeld.
Thank you, Chair. I've heard that the rates are really low in the military as well with regard to vaccinations, which, my husband was in the military and we were just like, what? That's not a choice, So things have changed apparently. So, because that didn't used to be a choice, but it is a concern with regard to those facilities because the death rate is higher there than anywhere else, and it just seems to me you have a right not to get vaccinated, but you don't have a right to work in those facilities. I wish we could mandate that. Why do you think they're lower there than the general population?
I couldn't even speculate. I don't know that I've even read any study on why it is. We knew that was happening in the first responder community as well, but I have not seen anything then, other. It's just, again, their preference.
I mean, that just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. So with regard to the vaccines, with every CVS and Walgreens giving out vaccines, I do think we have to keep sites open, available definitely for the testing, because with Delta there may be a spike coming down the road. We don't know. But do we really need to keep a Macomb County Health Department place open with all of these other places that are offering it? There seems to be an abundance of areas to get the vaccine now.
I'll say for the time being, I believe that we need to. Andrew can speak to that as well from his perspective. That's a mission-driven role of a health department, is to provide vaccines. So I think they will always have that. Again, that having the vaccine, that's going to be part of their normal immunization program, just like they have an immunization program now. So that I think will always remain. And again, that's why we've downsized some of our sites, changed our hours. We're cognizant of that. But I believe that we still need to offer that service, should be offering that service as a health department, and again, monitoring it like we have been. I don't know if you want to
Okay,
add
yeah,
anything.
I realized you were going to close down one site, but you're going to be renting another, and I'm just hoping that it seems to me those that want to be vaccinated, except with regard to the people under a certain age, those that want to be vaccinated, 95% of them have been vaccinated. So I'm hoping at some point we get to not have to pay rent to another facility on a month-to-month basis. I hope that's shortly down the road.
Right. And I think at least with the Lakeside site and keeping that open, I think the drive-through option is important to people, both from a testing and a vaccination point of view. Not necessarily everybody's operating that type of drive-through site. And I think even for our employees and the people themselves, it's a little extra added layer of protection, that they're not going into a site where there's other people if they're nervous about that. And then there's some too that just with the transportation issue, the drive-through site makes sense for them at this point.
It'll be interesting to see the change in numbers because of that. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Lytle. Commissioner Hall.
Thank you, Chair. Excellent report, Vicki. I'll bet you never thought 7 months ago you would hear the question, why do we have so many sites? It's kind of gone full circle now. The sites that we're paying for, are those coming out of the CARES Act funding so that it's not coming out of the general funding? Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah, it's either CARES Act or there's several grants through the health department that they have for the service. So, yeah, we have not tapped into general fund dollars.
Okay, and
literally for
secondly, to
anything.
follow that line, you're going to be monitoring to see if there's the spike or the opportunity to, as you did with Baker, break a lease or end a lease and may not commit to somewhere else other than through Andrew in the health department. Is that correct?
Correct.
Thank you. That's all
You're
I
welcome.
have, Chair.
I have a question. Are there other commissioners had any questions on the first round? What is the status of the phone system we bought early on in the epidemic? It had very many utility uses for us when we were logging in. People have come in and we had to crush on the phone lines, and we bought a top-notch system to help us manage the call volumes we're having. Where is that system at now, and
I think
how what use
Commissioner-
it's been used in other places, as far as you know?
Yeah, Commissioner, thank you. I think what you're referring to is Qualtrics, is that?
Yes, I'm sorry,
Okay.
that's right. I couldn't
And that
recall.
is our appointment system, and that is live. We're utilizing it, and it's everything that we thought it was going to be. Very good system. We've already made that switch. We made that switch early in June, rolled that out, and without any hiccups. We already have plans on utilizing it for normal immunization clinics. And I think this goes back to Commissioner Kleinfeld's comments about being smart about our sites and utilize them. So for your all knowledge, what we're doing is we're utilizing our COVID sites and also utilizing them half for COVID vaccines, and the other half's our traditional vaccination immunizations for our families and our children that are behind. Because a lot of the practices, the pediatric offices were closed, so we're behind. So we're utilizing Qualtrics for that, and we have more plans to expand that, possibly for our household hazardous waste program and environmental health too, to schedule appointments. That is a first come first serve program, and I think we could really do a lot to utilize it and make it a little less frustrating for residents utilizing that program.
Okay. All right, thank you. Commissioner Matuzik. Are you still, Okay. All right, seeing none, we have a motion to receive and file the report. Thank you so much for both coming in.
Thank
You know, we do like seeing you, but you know, certainly, any of you talk so long would be a good thing probably, but continue the dialogue and continue the efforts, and as we said, this board totally is so impressed with you and the staff and the whole team to get us through this to where we're at today, and hopefully we don't have to get back into those heavy days again, but your leadership of both your leadership and your whole team again deserves a recognition, so thank you so much.
Yep, thank you.
Motion's been made and supported. Please vote.
The motion passes 12-0.
All right, thank you. Next item is the Government Oversight Committee recommendations. For members of the public, we're going to go through a series of agenda items, and there's a lot of items on here. But these items were discussed previously in committee, so these are basically the final approval. It's basically the second reading through these things. So they've been scrutinized previously. This opportunity for the commissioners to ask any further questions or follow-up that may have been requested in the first meeting. So just for your watching and listening enjoyment, pass that along. Item 10 is Government Oversight Committee recommendations. Item A, can I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Support.
Is there any discussion on this item? Don't see any, please vote.
The motion passes 10-2 with Commissioners Kraft and Song voting no.
Okay, very good, thank you. Item 11 is Health and Human Services Committee recommendations. Can I have a motion to approve A, B, and C?
So moved, Kleinfeld.
Support Nard.
Any discussion on any of these items? Okay, please vote.
The motion passes 12-0.
Thank you. Item 13, Records and Public Safety Commission. Can I have a motion to approve A through D?
Mr. Chair, I think we missed item 12.
Oh, I'm sorry, I had some notes scribbled over the top of it. All right, from the previous item. Sure, item 12 is Internal Service Committee recommendations. Can I have a motion to approve A, B, and C?
So move, Van Sickle.
Support.
Is there any questions on any of these items?
A report, Mr. Chair, on item C, which is the purchase of
the Genesis.
The court system, or the new system set up for juvenile court to add an additional courtroom. I asked at the last meeting, we're setting up this additional courtroom, who's going to staff it? The response I got back was current staff, which then causes me to ask more questions. But that was the answer. I wanted to share that with everyone.
Okay, well, thank you, Commissioner. I appreciate that.
I have one too, I'm sorry.
Commissioner Kleinfeld, go ahead, please.
Yes, two of these items, this one and one later on the agenda, were approved in committee, so I'm not sure why they're on the agenda, because they've already been approved. So.
Just for receive and file for tracking purposes, so all full board action will show up at the full board meeting.
Okay, so we need two different motions, then we need a motion for A and B, which is approval, and then a motion for C as a receive and file.
I amend my motion to be 12A and B.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any discussion on that? Please vote. Thank you, Commissioner.
The motion passes 12-0.
Commissioner Kleinfeld, do you want to make a motion on number 12?
I'll make a motion to receive and file.
Thank you.
Support Nard.
There's support for that? Support by Commissioner Haw. Please
Chair?
vote.
Chair, wait a minute, Chair?
Yes.
I think Commissioner Matusik has a valid point on that. on what she asked. I was looking for the answer too when I was
She
reading
got
this.
it. Didn't she got the answer. I
Oh,
believe she
okay,
got
that's
the answer,
right.
correct?
Okay, there you go.
Yeah. Okay. All right, motion received and filed has been made and supported. Can we have a call a vote?
The motion passes 11-1 with Commissioner Zenner voting no.
Thank you. Item 13, records of public safety recommendations, item A through D. Need a motion to approve?
Motion by Farrington.
Support Matusek.
Support by Commissioner Wallace. Any discussions on any of these items? Seeing none, please vote.
The motion passes 12-0.
Okay. Finance, item number 14, item A, waived by committee chair, ordinance 2021-1 FY 2022 June year-end funds appropriation ordinance.
Motion to receive and file by Farrington.
Do we need a
Support
motion to
Nard.
approve, actually?
Oh.
Steve, this is a new business, so please come up and, yes.
Yeah, good afternoon, Commissioners. For the new commissioners, this will be the first one of these types of items that you will see from us in my office. And we have two programs that have June 30 year end, so they operate on a little different program year than the county proper. So those programs start in a week or so. And so what we're doing is asking the board to approve appropriations for these programs, which are entirely grant funded, to begin operating on July 1st, even though the budget cycle for 2022 is not started, or it just started last week. This is, you can think of it as sort of a continuation budget, even though you can't really use that term, but we're temporarily appropriating money at 50% of the current year budget to give them money to operate until the actual entire budget is, adopted later in the year. Again, these are grant-funded programs, no general fund match. They have their money appropriated from their funding sources already. We do this, we'll do it again next month because we have some programs that have August year ends. We'll do it again in September because we have a number that have September year ends.
If this isn't anything new, this is
nothing
this
new.
is
We do
a
this every
standard
single year.
procedure we've seen done
We
previously.
do it every single year.
That's what I thought. Okay. All right. Any commissioners wish to speak on this? Have any questions? All right, seeing none, please vote.
The motion passes 12-0.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Item 14B, Macomb County Investment Policy. Need a motion to approve the committee recommendation.
Support.
Is there any discussion on the policy recommendation? Discuss this in committee also. Seeing none, please vote. My civic clerk went offline, so I'm voting yes.
The motion passes 12-0.
Thank you. Item C, 14C and D. We have to take those two items together. Okay, need a motion?
Motion and support.
Motion by Farrington, support by Haw.
Did he motion and support? I'm impressed.
Very good. All right. All right, please vote.
The problem was he lost the vote.
You can voice vote if you want to know.
What was the vote?
The motion passes 12-0.
Okay, thank you. Item 15, Public Services Recommendation. Can I have a motion to approve A through F?
So moved.
By Commissioner Hawes, supported by Commissioner Farrington. Any
Again, wasn't
discussion on
F
these
approved to
items?
committee?
Is it
Yeah,
committee
Mr. Chairman, isn't F the same
Yeah,
as the other
it would
example?
be A through E.
So it'd be A through E?
Yes.
So I'll make the motion A through E.
Moved and supported. Any discussion on any of these items? Seeing none, please vote.
Oops, the motion passes 12 to 0.
Okay, thank you. Item 16, or item F, 15F rather, approved at committee. Need to receive and file this motion.
Motion to receive and file.
Support.
Support by Sabatini. Any discussion on this item? Seeing none, please vote. Thank you, Crystal.
The motion passes 12 to 0.
Okay. Resolutions at item 16. Can I have a motion to approve A and B? I'm just joking. Nah.
We have Commissioner Romano is
Oh.
joining us, so.
Oh, okay.
Commissioner Romano?
Commissioner Romano's here.
Okay, can you please announce that you're attending remotely and from where?
Commissioner Romano, District 4, Sterling Heights, attending remotely from
Sterling Heights.
Clarkston, Michigan.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, good. All right, item 16A, resolution support of the Second Amendment of the U.S. Constitution. I need a motion to approve.
So moved, Van Sickle.
For support?
Second, Zinner.
Okay. Discussion, any discussion on this item? Let's see, how many pulled them? Get my list of speakers up.
Just hit the details button, it'll go
Yeah.
to it.
I did that, but it didn't. All right, okay. Commissioner Van Sickle?
Thank you, Chair. This resolution shows Macomb County support for the U.S. Constitution, its amendments, and the Michigan Constitution. This resolution does not add, change, or remove any laws or regulations. Some have said this resolution is redundant. It's redundant in the same way saying the Pledge of Allegiance at the beginning of every meeting is redundant. It shows support for our great nation and the principles on which it was founded. We have seen other places in our country where law enforcement has been told to stand down and to not enforce valid laws. We have seen overreach on the part of some overzealous public officials. This resolution shows our support for a fair and even administration of our laws and public policies as guided by the U.S. Constitution, its amendments, and the Michigan Constitution. I urge this board to pass this resolution. Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Van Sickle. Commissioner Matuzik?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I support the Second Amendment. I support the U.S. Constitution. I especially support the part that says well-regulated. I think you can have regulations regarding weapons and ammunition and who can have what. However, nothing has come before this board that wants to take away anyone's gun. Nothing has come before this board that wants to limit ammunition or clip sizes or anything like that. I have seen the only thing that has come before this board relating to guns is our funding of the clerk's department so they can issue concealed weapons permits, which I'm in favor of. An example of rules and regulations regarding ownership of weapons. What I don't like about this resolution is we are giving local authorities the ability to decide what is constitutional or what is not. And that's ridiculous. giving the sheriff and the prosecutor the decision-making ability to decide which laws they will enforce and which laws they will not leads to chaos and possibly tyranny, as a sheriff decides they like this part, they don't like that part. That's not how we work in this country. We elect people to create laws. We don't like, though, what they created. In Michigan, you can have a referendum. You can have an initiative to have your own law. You can amend the Michigan Constitution. You don't like the candidate, you don't re-elect them, you recall them. The courts decide what is constitutional or not constitutional. I believe in democracy. I believe in our Constitution, which lays that process out. I'm voting no on this resolution because I am not giving the authority to this county commission or the prosecutor or the sheriff to decide which laws they will enforce and which they won't. And that's what this resolution talks about. It doesn't talk about saving anybody's guns. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to clarify something when I brought up the tanks and bombs and things. As you all know, I'm called, what did Leonetti used to say? She's got good eyes. She's got good eyes. I look at everything critically. I look at it for the problems in it, because that's exactly what I think our job should be when we're making decisions on things. And you have to look at the worst case scenario as well. How could this be read? How will it be treated down the road by future commissioners? And so specifically the sentence that says, oh, by the way, critical eye, there is still a comma after support when it should say support resources, comma, employees. It's not, the board will not support resources, employees. So there's a grammar thing there. But anyway, to say that we won't support employees that will enforce any law that restricts the law-abiding citizens' right to the Second Amendment. I just want to give you a very specific example, and that is the guards down at the courthouse. If you are voting for this, you are saying that you will defund them because if somebody wants to walk into that courthouse with a gun, you're saying if they're a law-abiding citizen, we are not going to support a law. That's what it says. We're not going to support a law that infringes on their rights. That's an existing law. So we're saying in this, it literally says that. People are shaking their heads no, but it literally says this board will not support resources, employees, agencies, contractors, building, detention centers, or offices for the purposes of enforcing any law that restricts the rights of any law-abiding citizen affirmed by the Second Amendment or Article 1, Section 6. Game over. That's exactly what it says. It isn't about the Second Amendment, and I felt real bad when this gentleman came up and said that, and another one said if a car hits somebody, you don't make cars illegal. That's not what he said. I really want people to hear what other people are saying. But the last thing I want to say, because I know Commissioner Romano, this was not easy for him to call in, and so this is for commissioners. I am begging the new commissioners. I do not want to go down this road again. I don't want to have resolutions on abortions, resolutions on welfare, resolutions on God, resolutions on the Second Amendment. Let's not do that. This board has had a reputation for working in a nonpartisan fashion. And when you put forth a resolution that has no meaning for us because we don't have that authority, you do two things. You pit us against each other, and you pit residents against each other. Now, we don't have a whole lot of the folks who have lost people to violence in this room today, but we have in the past. And there is no reason for us to pit each other, against each other on something that has absolutely no meaning that we can't enforce unless it is your intent to defund the prosecutor's office and the sheriff's department and the blue coats and the gray coats and all of that. So, moving on from here, I'm asking all of the brand new commissioners to think twice before you throw resolutions on that get you political brownie points, but nothing more. And remember what our job is, because this isn't our job. If you want to do this, go to Lansing and fight it out, because we don't do that here. We don't restrict guns here. We don't make laws with regard to guns here, because it's not our job. So please remember that. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to say thank you, Veronica, for standing up for the minorities here. With all due respect, Commissioner Van Sickle, you said we're being redundant every time we come here and say the Pledge of Allegiance. But that's because, we are in an official board meeting session. So why are we being redundant? If we're going to pass a resolution in support of the Second Amendment, then perhaps we should adopt a resolution in support of the First, the Third, and so on and so forth. As a board, we should not be passing resolutions about guns. And, people coming to the meeting and talking about fear of losing their constitutional rights or that our Constitution is under attack. It's not. You're not going to lose your constitutional rights. No one is going to take your guns away. And we cannot, as a board, assure that any other government authority will take away your rights, because we can't tell the executive or the sheriff or the prosecutor what to do. As a board, we have no legal authority to change the Constitution. And this resolution has no legal authority. So even if it passed, I want to put that on the table that, this has no legal authority. And I would urge all of you to vote no. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Song. Commissioner Van Sinkle.
Commissioner Kleinfeld has a good
Commissioner.
point.
Commissioner Romano, did you want to speak? Okay.
Commissioner Van Sinkle.
Commissioner
Commissioner,
Kleinfeld.
wait, Commissioner Hall first.
Okay.
He's on.
Thank you, Chair. I would have deferred to Don, to my elder, of course. But I'm just kidding. Maybe we should ask our expert parliamentarian to explain what a resolution does, just for public information. If she would not mind doing that?
We do have it in our board rules. Do you want me to read how it's stated?
Would you please, in recognizing we are in the process of reconfiguring our board rules and our procedures and our policies, and all commissioners have been asked to comment on the drafts that have been sent out. If you want these kind of things happening, comment. If you don't want them happening, comment. That's why we have spent an awful lot of time putting those together. So I will now defer to our parliamentarian.
Okay, in the current version, it's not defined, which is why the new revision has a definition.
Okay.
In the current version, it really just refers to board action.
Okay. So what does a resolution do? From a general standpoint.
Statement of values.
Well, it's how the board takes action.
So we pass or we turn this down, whatever's going to happen here. We pass this resolution. What happens next?
Oh, with this one?
With this one?
Well, whatever your final paragraph says, if there's an actual action stated in there.
So we send this to the sheriff and the prosecutor and the county executive and say, follow this resolution?
I would have to refer to that paragraph, but I do think.
Well, I
if
can
it
tell
does
you
to
what
be
the
effective-
answer is going to be to that. I didn't want to put you on the spot, Crystal. I thought you had it. That's all I have, Chair.
Thank you. Commissioner Van Sinkle.
As I started to say, Commissioner Kleinfeld has a good point. Can we amend the resolution
just-
to remove the comma after the word support?
Yeah, the maker does supports that.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, very good. All right. All right, anyone else wish to speak? Seeing none, please call the vote. Please vote. Commissioner Romano, how do you vote?
Commissioner Romano is voting remotely, resounding yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners, for the courtesy of allowing me to vote remotely. I appreciate it. Evan, thanks for the calls, too. I appreciate it. Have a good day. Thank you, Chair.
Okay. All right. Please call the vote. Okay.
The motion passes 9-4 with Commissioners Kleinfeld, Haw, Wallace, and Song voting no.
Okay, thank you. Order, please. All right.
Mr. Chair, I hit the wrong button. I'm definitely a no on this one.
Okay, I'll correct it.
Well, that's it. All right, good. Sure. Okay. Next resolution is item 16B, resolution approve MDOT bid. Need a motion to adopt.
So move.
Moved by Hawk, supported by Commissioner Farrington. Any discussion? Please vote.
The motion passes 12-0.
Okay, thank you. Item 17 is correspondence. I know I sent out a memo out. The board gets correspondence from people, emails into the board administration office commenting on issues or calling attention to certain issues, but that comes before all of us as a county, as a whole. Those of records, there's no record of those comments ever, and sometimes commissioners don't ever see them. So what I've done is to initiate a policy where we're going to put them on the correspondence so commissioners can see who's writing in and what their issues are. It could be about anything, but anything that affects the board. If there are issues that deal with, say, a minor, somebody's complained about, a dirt road that's been washed out, well, then I would just refer to the commissioner and they would deal with it, be a private business. But issues like this subject came in, pro and con issues, wanted to make sure everyone had an opportunity to have their opinions expressed and that we would see them and they'd be part of the official record that they made a comment. That hadn't been going on for a long time, and it should have been done probably. So we're tightening that up. So that's going on. So that's what item 7A is. And then 17B.
Mr. Chair?
Yes,
I
please.
have a question about this
Sure, okay.
policy, which I think is very good.
Yeah.
And these absolutely should be in the public record. I have a question about what the line of demarcation is. Because obviously these attached emails came in a way that I didn't see them in my official account. On the other hand, we've all been copied, like all of us, with emails, but those are not included here. So what's the, I'm trying to figure out what makes it official and what doesn't make it official.
Well, it probably could be a stand to be tightened up a little bit. I mean, it was just a matter of the ones that came in the administration that our staff saw, and other ones
So
maybe they didn't
what
see.
email did those come to?
We have a BOC admin email. And
Okay.
So that's where we would route, if it's an individual commissioner or district issue, we would still route it to you. If it's a board-wide issue, you'll see it on full board, as opposed to just forwarding it to you or something different.
Right, but I've been on many emails in the last couple of weeks that had us all listed across the top.
Yeah.
And
Well,
so
those
I'm
are-
sort of wondering if those are official communications and should be
I
attached
think
to
they
this
should be. I
list.
think they probably should be.
I
There should
agree.
probably be a process, and I guess as me as board chair, if I'm on something like that, then I'll forward it to staff, and of course, anybody who wants to help out with that too, if they say this came in, make sure this gets in the record, so more eyes out would make a difference, but those should all be included in there, I think.
I agree.
Yeah.
If all the
Yeah.
commissioners are copied on an email, then it seems to me it becomes official.
That's right.
In some way. If it's just to me or it's one of my constituents or a particular answer that I'm going to give,
Yeah.
then that's different. But when each email is all copied to all of us, that I think needs to be part of the official record.
Yeah, I agree with you. So we'll do that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
No problem. So I need then item 7B is, as it says, emails regarding this issue, and then other emails regarding MSU extension services. So, and how they're displayed on there, I guess sometimes they fall in nice, neat categories, other times they don't, so it's a work in progress.
I have a
Because there's
question.
gonna be no set rule that says this fits into this category, so, but that's how it goes for right now. Commissioner Kleinfeld?
Did this change sometime today? Because I swear that it had yours, and then it had like A and B constituents things, and then the road thing. So I didn't realize there were 56 pages of emails, because I thought each one was it got changed this afternoon, didn't it?
We're probably right before noon. A bunch came in overnight, and so when we had a chance to check it, we hurried and uploaded
Okay,
them.
so then, I mean, in our defense, we had no way to know that those emails came in. I read the ones that were in there this morning, so.
And maybe there's a thing we say after a certain date, if we can't have it, like maybe we receive information 5 days in advance, something like that, so the commissioners
I'm
can
just
see it
sitting here
perhaps.
and I
mean,
realized
you know,
the combination, I realized you have to scroll down to find others, and I didn't,
Yeah.
I was unaware of that, so, sorry about that. Thank you.
It's okay.
Yeah, I like the idea of them grouped by category.
Yeah.
That makes sense to me. But I looked through everything this morning, and I certainly didn't see those. So having them at least a couple days
Yeah,
in the packet, a couple days before the meeting would be helpful, so then
Yeah.
you can actually look at them.
we'll do that. Is a couple of days enough? I mean, or should we have the same standard that we have all of our department heads say, if we don't have anything into our office by 5 days in advance, then it won't go on the record. We could carry them over to the next month. Because a lot of stuff that's in the emails isn't necessarily topical.
Mr. Chair,
timing, so-
if I could suggest,
Please, Commissioner.
whatever the staff can put it in the system. It's not like the county budget items, it's just for information. So if they need 2 days to do it, 2 days would probably be the best. They need 1 day, then it's 1 day. If it's 3, it's whatever the staff needs, and just keep it
I
consistent.
appreciate
That's my
that.
suggestion.
But,
Yeah,
you never
because
know.
some issues we get 1 or 2 emails on, and other issues like this resolution today, we got a whole bunch. So I think it just depends. But I agree, giving staff some leeway to figure out what makes sense.
Sure. But the goal is that we record in a format the people's comments, so that they know their comment didn't just go in the circular file, that they're in the Board of Commissioners record forever. Exactly. So, thank you. I need a motion to receive items.
Chair.
Receive and file A, B, and C. Oh, Commissioner Vance, I'm sorry, I didn't look at that.
Thank you, Chair. I have 2 comments. I like the idea about we need to somehow, in my opinion, have people be able to specify whether or not they want their email in the public record. So I would like to see us have some kind of policy where maybe people who want it in the public record put board correspondence or something like that in the subject, so that we know. Because if somebody chooses to send to 9 or 10 commissioners, I don't want to have somebody count, did we get all 13 commissioners, to be able to determine that it goes in the public record. I don't think that's a good thing to do. And the other comment I have is that possibly we should have the cutoff date be gated by when the agenda is made available, because in theory, people will be commenting on agenda items many times. So I would like to see possibly the agenda have something up at the top saying, we will accept comments on this through 5 p.m. Thursday or whatever, based on when the agenda's put out. That way it would be very clear to people when the cutoff date is. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you for that suggestion. Yeah, please go ahead.
Your attempt to provide transparency just got overly complicated.
Well,
So
that's how things are in life sometimes, right?
I applaud.
Nothing's easy.
I applaud your initiative, but following on Commissioner Van Sickles, let's assume for talking, you're going to have to do a policy here so that everybody understands exactly what your ground rules are, because I can see one coming in that personally attacks a group of commissioners or a singular commissioner, and that gets on there, it doesn't get on there. So I applaud your initiative. I think you got some homework.
Yeah, we can do it.
Okay, thanks, Chair.
We're good. We're up for it. All right. Any other discussion on this policy initiative? All right, very good. All right, very good. 17, A, B, and C. Can I have a vote, please?
So moved. Nard.
Okay, it's supported by...
Second, Zinner. Oh.
Supported by Commissioner Zinner. All right, please vote.
The motion passes 12-0.
Okay, thank you. New business, I've got a couple items. There's been some questions about whether we hired some new staff out there. We have a temporary staff person that we've hired, Charlotte, and she's doing job answering phones while our short staff is out here helping us manage the affairs of the board. So she's very good, she's very competent, very experienced, and a very pleasant lady, and we're glad that she's able to help us cover during our meetings. So that's who Charlotte is out there. And another item, the clerk's office has an open house and tour available next Thursday, July 1st. And commissioners, you should have all received an invite, but this is another notice that go there. The clerk Fellini's invited us all over there to tour the facility and see what's going on and better understand the operations of the clerk's office. There'll be a light lunch provided, and if the weather's nice, it'll be a nice day, a nice afternoon. So if you're available, time of your schedule, be worthwhile to see what's going on over there and see what's going on and what maybe probably it's going to show us probably what needs to be done as well. So eyes on it is always good. So that's all the new business I have. Anybody else on new business? Commissioner Hall.
Thanks, Chair. I would like to wish the best to our Commissioner, Joe Romano, and his medical procedure. And our Sergeant at Arms has done such a wonderful job to date, sending out cards and flowers and stuff like that. I think, and I talked to him myself today. It would be a great gesture if you wouldn't mind doing that, Barb. Sergeant of Arms. Thank you.
You want me to send flowers? Or something?
What Joe said, quote, unquote, I'm not a flowers guy.
Okay. I didn't think so.
I'm leaving it at that.
I'll take care of it.
He loves cookies, okay. That's all I have, Chair.
Thank you. Send us some prunes. All right. And anyone else? I don't have, my screen's not functioning. Commissioner Kleinfeld.
Thank you, Chair.
Yeah.
When something comes out of committee already voted on, if it's going to be changed or rewritten, we really need to have the original version with the rewrite behind it, asking for an amendment, because an individual commissioner can't change something that we voted on. So I just wanted to point that out. I don't think there would have been any problem doing the rewrite. I think everybody would have been fine with that.
Good point, Commissioner Kleinfeld.
I'm going to Montana.
Oh, right, lucky.
I don't know if I'm coming back. So I'm going to miss a couple of meetings. I'm very excited about seeing family. My whole family's from Montana, out in the middle of nowhere, and I don't get to see them very often. So I will be missing, I think it's the next 3 meetings. And for the board staff, always the first 2 weeks in July. I'm always going to Montana in July. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, next time we set the schedule, we'll send a survey notice out to everyone. So, but that doesn't help us now. So thank you. Any other speakers? Just raise your hand. I can't see anybody else in a new business. Great. All right. Next item is a public participation. Anyone wish the public wish to be heard? You have 3 minutes to speak on any item you wish. You have 3 minutes. Public participation. Anyone from the public wish to be heard? Please come forward and again state your name, where you're from for the record, and Be respectful.
Okay, all right. Vivian Campbell, lifelong Macomb County resident. I feel very concerned about all these hotels popping up. That's why I came here today. I took time off of work to be here. To me, 1 and 1 is not adding up to 2. Nobody seems to know anything about this, and I think it might be bigger than local, that we're having the wool pulled over our eyes. Commissioner Sabatini, I sent you an email today. I hope you'll keep in contact with me on this. I have reached out to several people. I talked to Macomb Township Supervisor. She called me back. She told me there was not a hotel where I told her there was behind Coney Island on Hall Road. Then she called me back, oh, yes, there is. And then she told me there's also going to be a Noodles and Company. I said, that's been there for 5 years. Mayor Fouts and Warren told me no refugees, no illegals. I don't know if he knows. Lisa McClain, I believe is her name, she called me back and her office called me back and said no. But to me, it's just not making any sense. And I don't care about the money. The money is a very big concern that we don't have the resources to support this, although maybe the federal government's paying for it with our dollars that we don't have, our trillion-dollar debts. However, what I care about is the crime and the safety. I have children here, grandchildren here, and I didn't work my rear off my whole life to look forward to retirement to now worry about if my son and grandchildren are going to be able to stay here. I don't care. I can get up and go. I don't want to, but I can. But I don't want that for my kids and grandkids or anybody else's. So I hope somebody's going to dig into this. I don't want the crime. We can't support it. That's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Commissioners, just want to thank you very much for your very spirited conversation about the resolution that you passed and the fact that everyone can continue to smile after you pass the resolution. I appreciate that. That's what's so great about America, you know. I commend you on passing this resolution, and we really appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to be heard?
Joseph Hayes, Clinton Township. Thank you. Thank you all for examining and dissecting and correcting grammar. You've done a good job, and it's true that if everybody can walk away friends after something as emotionally impacted as this can be, it's a great day for America. I just want to say thank you. I want you to enjoy, all of you please, your 4th of July that's coming up, Independence Week, which is prior to the 4th of July. So again, have a safe one, and thank you. You've done a great job.
Anyone else wish to be heard on public participation?
Yes, my name is Paul Driscoll from Washington Township. Again, I'd like to thank everybody. Again, serving in the military and my family serving in the military, all these people give their lives for that Constitution, and thank you for backing it. So, God bless you. God bless America. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Tommy Smith, Chesterfield. I'd like to thank all the county commissioners who have voted in favor of this resolution. One thing I just want to say is, you know, it's not about they're coming for our guns or they're going to come take it. You can still destroy the Constitution by eroding it. And red flag legislation is a part of that erosion, and that is an infringement in its core, in its design. There is a gentleman named Duncan Lemp that was killed when a neighbor of his made an allegation against him, and the SWAT team showed up, and they killed him in his sleep. So I think we basically prevented laws like that, or offset them at least, from arriving here in Macomb County. Because with all the people that own guns in this county, without notice, without due process, someone shows up to your door and say, excuse me, Mr. and Mrs. whoever, there's an allegation against you, we're here for your guns. I can guarantee you most residents in this county will not willingly hand over their firearms. So this was a good thing that we passed. Thank you again so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to be spurred?
I'll thank you by not speaking.
I would also like to thank commissioners for passing that resolution. I think it's a very strong statement. And I also want to ask, or not ask, but just provide a comment, whether it's the Second Amendment or whether it's any other amendment of the Constitution, you shouldn't be too hesitant in stating how much you support it. And that's all that this resolution does. But I thank all of you for even considering it, taking it up. Thank you so much. And for the life of me, Veronica, I cannot figure out why you wouldn't want to go to Montana in January. But thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to be heard?
Hello, my name is Michael Zubis. I must apologize before I start. I wrote a speech that is 5 minutes long, thinking you guys still have the 5-minute rule. I will go through as much as I can, and if you guys, run out of time, because it's like past 5 o'clock, I understand you guys want to go. So I'm going to go through this as fast as I can.
3 minutes.
3 minutes.
Start now.
I will start right now. A good afternoon to the esteemed commission of Macomb County. I come with you with dire word about our state's electoral systems, and along with some hope for better days after. To recap, I accused members of the government of stealing an election due to their hatred of one man, and I continue to be proven right, which is so darn frustrating. Frustrating due to the complete lack of accountability and integrity of the elections process overall. I wanted audits, and the Secretary of State continues to prove that she will do anything to hide what happened last November, like pretending to do an audit with only 17,000 votes. So let's think about this practically. 5 million people voted in Michigan last November, and if 1,000 votes equaled a gallon of water, that would equal out to about a pool 4 feet short of an Olympic-sized pool. Now let's say someone comes up to the lifeguard and says, someone peed in the pool and tainted the water. So what does Chief Lifeguard Benson do? She goes out with a measuring cup, inspects 17 cups worth of water, throws it back into the pool, and tells us there is no pee in the pool. Please go on with your lives. In a more analytical sense, Secretary Benson audited 0.036% of the vote, literally less than 1% of the vote that was audited or recounted, whatever wording she wanted to use. I want Secretary Benson to get a job at the IRS after she's done. I would love to get audited by her. Audit less than 1% of my assets, please. But this is bigger than just Secretary Benson or the people flooding the Fulton County count so they can stuff the ballot box, or Maricopa County stonewalling the Arizona audit every step of the way, or New Hampshire's audit finding Republicans lost 300 votes across the board. It's the consortium, the collective of Secretary of States working together under the umbrella of the National Association of Secretaries of State, NASS. And guess who is the current co-chair of the NASS Elections Committee? Secretary Benson. And with the corporate affiliates as pallet printing companies Fort Orange and Runbeck, both donating $5,000 each to the NSAED, which is another group that I cut out. Anyways, also many voting systems also having donations to both the NASS and the NASED, bunch of words. The bias is already set in place. They took the money, so of course they're going to have to defend them. If they don't, no donations. Follow the money as everyone needs it, because people who fund it, like Soros, the man who single-handedly ruined the British Crown, proved, if you got the money, you can make anything happen. Secretary of State Benson's conflict of interest.
30 seconds.
Thank you. I will go to the, in conclusion, when people say, trust our government, they refute the founding fathers, who has built an entire system of checks and balances. So trust is not needed. Verification is. It's like what John Adams said, there is danger from all men. The only maxim of a free government ought to be to trust no man living with the power to endanger the public liberty. And until we start auditing elections, no one will trust anything. Thank you for your time, and have a good day.
Very good.
Thank you.
Anyone else wish to be heard under public participation? One more time, anyone under public participation? Seeing none, we'll close that. Need a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Support
Moved by
Wallace.
Commissioner Hawes, supported by Commissioner Farrington. All those, please vote. May you all have a great, safe, happy 4th of July weekend and week, and we'll talk to everyone soon. Safe travels to all of you traveling near and far. Thank you.